website right now and download my free course on alternate picking mastery. It contains 5 essential exercises that will take you to alternate picking mastery faster than you can imagine. And then I've included my method of how to lay out a practice plan in just 1 to 2 minutes that will absolutely boost your results like nothing you ever tried before. So go download it right now. It's free. Hey, how do you, when you go to the third level of playing chords, and I define that as the first level being open strings. Right, you play chords with open strings, that's what we begin with, and then we struggle with the bar chords. Right, that's the second level, and you can move chords up, and that's really smart because you can play almost any chord. If you can play one minor chord, the E, then you can play G and A, and it's totally cool. But then the next level is where all the variation happens, where you can play flat 9s and 7s and major 7s and all of that, where you have 1 finger per note. And so you're only playing 4 strings, and you got 6. So every chord you play has 2 strings that you need to mute if you want to strum all the strings. And how do you do that? Well, the first rule here is that I'm going to give you the specifics. We're going to go close up and I'm going to show you exactly what I do to mute them. But the first rule, and that's more important than the actual technique of muting, is that you consider the chord notes and muted strings. The muted strings are not an accessory. It's not like that comes on top of it. It's if you're fretting the chord and I can hear the strings ring out that are not in the chord, the open strings, then I haven't fretted the chord. I haven't learned to do the chord. So you need to consider that when you practice that. Okay, let's see, I'm doing that D major 7th. I have an open E string in both ends of it, and I'm not doing that chord correctly until I have a muted E string in both ends. And if you start focusing like that, then you're absolutely going to learn each chord with the muting technique that comes with it. So that is key. But let's move on to how do I actually do the muting? And it's not hard. It's actually just playing a little bit sloppy than we're used to. So let's look at it. So what you basically do here is, let's just take these 3 chords here as an example. I'm doing an F major 7th, and for that I'm placing my first finger in the 8th fret, my third finger in the 10th fret, got the second finger in the 9th fret, and then the 4th finger in the 10th fret on the A, D, G, and B string. And as I said before, I got 2 strings I don't want to play. I got 2 E strings here, right? And what I do is, normally I would say always fret the notes with the fingertips because that gives you the most accurate position. But in this case, you can do the chord and then simply just grab the neck like that. That bluesy, right? That bluesy way of holding around the neck is really good for muting strings as well. Sometimes all you need to do is just I push my first finger just a little bit towards the E string, the low E string, so I'm muting that with the tip of my finger, and I'm touching the high E string with my pinky here. And that's enough to mute all so you would do the chord right. And then from here, I slightly do this, turn my whole hand in that direction, because that makes my pinky touch the E string, and makes my first finger touch the low E string. From here to here. See, now they're ringing out, now they're not. Ringing out, not. So it's just that slight little difference there. And you just need to get that into your fingers. Let's do another one. Let's do the second. This is 2-5-1 progression here. I'm doing G minor 7th, and I'm doing that by putting my first finger in the 10th fret on the A string. Then I have the G, B, and high E string here. Second finger in the 10th fret. Third finger in the 10th fret on the G and the high E. And then I do the 11th fret with my 4th finger. And I have an open string right there, the D string, and I have the low E string as well as an open string. And all I do there, after I fret it, the chord in the correct way with my fingertips going straight into the fretboard, I simply turn them a little bit in that direction, like that, because that makes my that's another chord. Because what I need here is for that first finger to touch the D string, right? And all I need to do is just be a little sloppy. Just take my hand from this position down to that. Now that is muted. And I can also just push it slightly. See, I still have the E string ringing out, but just pushing it slightly upwards and it's muted. Now the first finger is muting both the D and the low E, right? Then I got the C dominant 7th here, which is exactly the same way of holding the fingers. I just go to the low E string instead. And now I have the first finger in the 8th fret, and I have my second finger in the 8th, and I have my third finger in the 8th, and then the fourth finger is on the G string in the 9th fret. Alright, so I got low E, I got the D, I got the B string, and then the G string is the fourth finger here. And in this case, I have the A string, and I have the high E string ringing out. Right? And if I want to mute those, all I need to do again is just to turn my hand just a little bit in that direction. That mutes the A string. Then I have the high E string there, and just by pushing down this finger here, going from standing upright to slouching like that. This is poor technique again. This is being sloppy. This is being accurate. This is being sloppy. Then I can mute that high E string. So I turn my hand just a little bit, and then this finger here is just a little bit in that direction. That's all I need. And these movements are part of doing the chord. Like, I've put my fingers in the right place, and then the next thing I do is I make sure my first finger is muting the A string, and I make sure that is part. This stance here with the fingers, that is the chord. This is not the chord. This is. So you need to teach your brain that exact feeling of doing that chord in that way, where you have all the notes or the open strings are muted. Right? And that's the way to do it. So all you need to do now is start practicing these 4-note chords with the muted strings included. Never do them without them, so you can always strum all 6 strings whenever you do only 4 strings. When I started learning these chords, it took me forever to get to that level. I had the open string chords, the basic chords, I had the bar chords down, and then my development basically stopped. Because it seemed like once you go into those 4-note chords, that, I have to mute the strings I'm not using, and suddenly there are so many chord structures, and I was really confined to the basic. It was like, it took me forever to learn the first 2 levels, the bar chords and the open string chords. So learning major, minor 7ths and 9ths and 13th and 11ths and all these additions that you can use in any style of music, learning all that with the 4 notes and the 4 fingers and the 4 strings was like too much. It was like I had to, it took me forever to learn the first 2 levels, but that's an illusion, as we talked about in the previous video. Break through to that 3rd level, make a decision, and if you want us to assist you in that process and make sure that you push yourself all the way through so you won't ever feel like it's a hassle to learn these 4-note chords, then I warmly recommend go checking out the new program, and you can click the link below this video. Also, subscribe, go sign up on our website for free jam tracks every single day played by real musicians, and of course follow us on Instagram. Subscribe for more free videos. Do it. Do it now. Do it.